Hello. I just moved that across. Don't want you seeing my lovely curtains. Well, as you can see, it is I and me alone today. No Lewis, no Lee, but only me. Anywho, this is a movie review for the movie I saw today, which I get my phone out, which I should have already. It is Wednesday the 7th of November. Doesn't matter what time it is. I decided, sort of randomly, to go out and watch Skyfall. And this is my review of it. If you hadn't have guessed from what will obviously be the title of the video, something along the lines of Movie Review Skyfall. Whatever. Okay, now how do I enjoyed the movie quite a bit, but I'm sort of quite a Bond fan myself. The collection being right there, where you can't see. Just on top of the random figures things. Now I'm trying to remember, because it's been a metro ride since. The movie was... what's a good way of saying it? Yes, it's made by myself, so it's going to be a lot more rambly. I enjoyed the... oh wait, before we go into anything, I meant to say straight away, spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie, don't watch this, because it'll have spoilers. And that's bad. Because, okay, and now I've said that, I'm going on the things. For me, a lot of the big points in this were, there was lots of things that happened that I didn't know about because I hadn't looked it up or researched it online, and I hadn't seen lots of adverts and things, so I didn't really know a lot about it other than it was a Bond movie, the new one. And the only thing I'd heard about it was very romancy. I didn't really catch that while watching it, but each differs in their opinions. Let's go back through the plot points. It starts off in town I don't remember, because I'm not sure if they said clearly what the name was. They were looking for a document, or well, it was more like I guess a hard drive, and it had information on it, which you didn't find out till later what it was. Now it's the usual Bond chasing person scene, which escalates to motorcycles on roofs that seem to perfectly handle motorbikes and have rather nice flat bits on the roof that are just, you know, perfect from the wheels of a motorcycle. And I don't know, I've not seen the place, the real place. I've not been, obviously. I don't go anywhere. So it could be like that. I could just be nitpicking. The motorcycle leads to standoff. He jumps off the side onto a train. Bond goes over onto the train after him. Then there's a bit with a tractor. Where's the tractor? Digger, not a tractor. Which leads to them fighting on top of the train. Female assistant person to Bond, who was early introduced but just talky and chasey and whatever. She has been chasing alongside the train, and as they're having their fight, it's along the lines of she has a sniper and she's got a shot, but she has a high chance of hitting James. And M, person in charge of all the... if you don't know James Bond, you're fucked anyways. She states to take the shot and is very... what's the word? Passionate in the sense of take the shot. She takes the shot nonetheless and hits James, misses the target. Next scene is his funeral. Well, you don't really see the funeral per se. Pans up, things happen. Obviously I'm not going to try and get into the whole story. Then it pans to James on some island. Don't believe it told you where, but it's like one of the places he always ends up, the sandy, far off, lovely place. Because he's not dead, you can't kill James Bond because he's fictional. Anywho, during the time he's there, there's a terrorist attack on MI6, which he hears about via a news broadcast on the television, leading him to come out of his death retirement and to try and help out, because it is his duty. Well, he goes through the training, well, that's training, the tests to see if he's fit, and he really isn't, but when it comes to it, M falsifies the information so that he can go through with the mission. Let's see, where's it go to? The next thing is they're tracking the man that James was earlier chasing after, and they found out because of he was earlier shot, when he was chasing him he was shot by him, and he removed some of the shrapnel, which luckily, I know, but whatever, it was a specific kind that only specific people use, and it was easy to track that person. And apparently the CIA, I believe, were tracking him as well, and he was going to make, well, his next job was in China, I believe, or was it Beijing, doesn't matter, one of those places. So he gets on the flight to there, trails them, and manages to intercept him at the airport. See, this is me trying to remember this all. And once there, he trails him to a building where the person is like going through it, killing off each of the security guards silently, obviously, and James is following. The person gets into an elevator, James does the jump, he holds onto a bar underneath, which for probably the only point in the movie referring back to him not being fit, really, is that when he's holding onto the bar underneath the elevator, he loses his grip on one hand for a little bit, but then it arrives and he's fine. So, but walkie, it turns out that the person he's got to hit on someone. This was the only bit for me that seemed a bit odd. James pretty much just watched as the person cut out the bit of glass, got it ready, aimed, and killed the person. Then he confronted him. See, to me, I would have imagined that he would have probably tried to stop him killing this person, but I don't know. A struggle ensues, window gets smashed and the person falls out over. He tries to grab him, but while screaming, "Who was he working for?" the person does not reply, and the grip slips and the person falls. Oh goodness, what was next? Oh yeah, he went through the person's belongings because he had a thing for cutting out the bit of glass so he could shoot through it, and he found a chip inside, poker chip, not computer chip. He used it to find out where the person was supposed to be paid from, went there with the woman from earlier, because there's a scene after that where she helps him shave, and never mind. Again, details you'll see within the movie if you go and see it, which I do highly recommend. If you're a James Bond fan, you should, because I thoroughly enjoyed it as a Bond fan. Anywho, back to the subject. They're in this place. It's what would be the right word? Like a casino, a Chinese casino type thing. He goes, hands in, and says, "I would like to cash my chip." The person comes out with the money. While while this is happening, he notices a woman, because James has magic vision that notices plot point people. And after receiving the huge case of money, which I believe was 40,000, maybe. It wasn't a really important number, so it wasn't brought up really more than like once. He goes and talks to her, finds out that she is a slave to, like, she had a tattoo showing that she was part of the slave trade, and she was bought out by the person that James is looking for. Meanwhile, while all of this is happening, all shit's breaking loose in England because the earlier attack, and the same person who did the earlier attack is now releasing information from the hard drive thing from earlier, which was a secret document which had every single, like, Black Ops undercover type people, all of them. It had all of their locations and all of the information on all of them, and that's what was stolen. That's why M was so keen on the person being shot and then retrieving it. But I believe it was 3, I could be wrong, but 3 or 6 or something like that, of the identities were released on YouTube, publicly, and that was their covers blown, which resulted in, I believe, all of them being killed. So all shit's gone terrible, and the person said he's going to release 3 or 6 or whatever it was every single week, every week, and I don't even think he'd made demands, so he was just going to do it. During this time, yeah, as I said, Bond met with that woman, they were talking. He found out that she belonged to, I got a text, belonged to the person that James is trying to get to. So, after the sexy charm, whatever, he noticing she's scared, he gets her to agree to take him to her master, or whatever he would call himself, or whatever it was. Basically, at this point, she says that's if you can survive my 3 guards, which are more than likely going to try and kill you. Which obviously he does. The next scene was bloody weird, with the giant Komodo dragon crocodile monsters that ate one of the people. What's the very next thing? Oh yeah, then it's the next scene's over to the boat, which is where she was waiting. They've got to leave. Then she's in the shower, because why wouldn't she go in the shower when James is coming? Then she's naked in the shower, and he's also naked in the shower. A joke from earlier's reference to do with guns. I imagine sex ensued, but they were not forthcoming on that information. Then it's the next day. She's out on the front. I don't remember what that's called. The front of the boat. He walks out. Then the people hold guns up to them because he wanted to be caught anyways. Apparently. They're taken to the leader. Well, he is, and she's taken separately. And it's revealed at this point that the leader and the person who's perpetrating all of this was M's old favourite. The last person who was like the best of them, apparently, before James. Tickly nose. And well, it's not that long ago. He's trying to explain that she is the problem, that she is using him and lying to him. He explains how she'd lied about the tests earlier, sending him out when he clearly wasn't ready to, and stuff like that. Then the bad guy talks some more. He takes James up to the ground level. Oh wait, I didn't explain that. The place where they are is like, it's an island where people had lived, but the bad guy had used his computers to simulate that there was a, I believe, nuclear meltdown or something, and everyone fled the island. So it's now his island, as that's how it works. He takes James up, they talk, they see that the woman from before, the one who had the sexy times in the shower, she's tied to a broken down statue, and pretty much the bad guy's like, let's have a game, let's see how good your aim really is. And they have to shoot a shot glass off her head. After some baiting, I suppose, James shoots, missing, then the bad guy says it's a disappointment, shoots, kills her. James makes a witty retort of the only waste there was the waste of the alcohol within the shot glass, which within that he trolls every single one of the guards. Everyone's dead. The bad guy's like, well, now what? Are you going to shoot me? What are you going to do when you're all alone? And James retorts, but I'm not alone, I have backup. And helicopters coming out of nowhere, and earlier the bad guy had made a joke about, ooh, I hated all of the Q's technology and the stupid gadgets. James retorts with this, I managed to signal them with this nifty new invention they've called a radio. And he's captured. At this point I was a little worried it was like the end of the movie for some reason, because the bad guy was captured and everything seemed settled. Thankfully I was wrong, because that would have not been a very good ending compared to what the complete ending was. I've got popcorn in my teeth. They arrest that person, he talks to M. It's revealed that he was on a mission and was captured, and for the grace of country and to keep secrets, he, for months on end, and months and months and months and months, didn't reveal any information. And then, when it came to the final point where he couldn't take any more, I believe I can hear my father speaking outside. He bites down on the cyanide capsule that's within his tooth, and it doesn't kill him, but it burns his insides, and you see him remove like a brace, I suppose, but it shows that his face is like deformed and he's missing most of his teeth. That's really bloody distracting. They go through, I don't have the thing hanging up. They go through his information, and it turns out it was all a trick. He'd set it all up way ahead of time, and he was using that to get into their bases and escape. See me coming? Anyways, so James pursues, and the chasing scene, Q, which I didn't really mention before, he was meant to be a younger person who knew a lot about computers and such. Hiya, do you want to say hello? I'm doing a recording. What?
It's a bag of chips here for you.
Ooh, bag of chips, lovely. Told you I heard him. While chasing, James catches up to him, and it's like one of the holding the gun, he's got him, and then it's like, James, I have a present for you. With this amazing thing we call a radio. And he explodes like behind him. Whoa, focus. Whoa, whoa. Calm down. Calm down. Behind him, let's try to be careful with that autofocus, which I could could swear I turned off. And it explodes a cabin behind him, and it's like, I hope you weren't aiming for me. No, but that is. And through the whole, what it appears he exploded was one of the train lines, which is what they were running through, which I didn't explain, but it doesn't matter. And out of that train line comes a train straight at James, which he dives out of the way and gives the other guy a chance to escape. What's the next scene? While all of this is happening, I'm sure I'm missing out some stuff, but you get the gist, and like I say, you should see the movie yourself. The person gets out, gets into a new ennui, or he was in the new outfit. Oh, I missed out the one important thing. They were chasing each other through the tube system, and James jumps onto the tube at the last minute, and you get all one joke that's in the movie, which was an older man looking at him jumping on the train going, oh, he must really want to get home. The one joke in the entire movie. But it's not really a jokey movie, so that makes sense. But anyways, back to the point where I was at. The guy escapes. James has to go out and chase after him. The whole time that this is happening, there's an inquiry going on towards the MI6 and their capabilities about if they're worthy and if their job is needed and such. The whole time, battery's going low. Well, this is all happening, and the person's heading towards trying to get to her because he hates her because of everything that's happened. And let's see, they're racing to get there. He gets into the lobby of, God, I can't remember what it's called. I'm going to say it's not Downing Street, but it's the place where all the inquiry stuff happens. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. Details. The guy shooting him out, James, is racing to get there. The person bursts in with his many people from fuck knows where he's got. Over the course of the movie, you see him with several people. He's got some sort of organisation that's never mentioned, and just a bunch of idiots that follow him. I couldn't tell you what to describe them as, just his henchmen, I guess. Henchmen for the sake of being henchmen. They're shooting all the guards, getting in the way, and James is racing his way there, and he bursts in and starts shooting all of the guards, all of the policemen there. I could swear every single policeman in that place that they shot was black. Not to be racist, but I could swear they were all black. That's just, it was weird. But M doesn't get shot. James gets there pretty much in the nick of time. They drive the person away between James, woman from the start, and the person whose name I forgot to mention, but the person who's like kind of in charge of MI6 now. Then James goes after him while they're getting M out of the building. He looks out of the building, sees that the person's gone into a police car and drove off. He notices a car. And the next scene is M going out, getting put into a car, and that car driving off, which has James in the front, and she makes the comment of, "Are you kidnapping me?" And he replies, "I suppose that's what you could call it." The next scene is them driving and talking. Again, plot, you'll see if you see it. And most modern vehicles, especially the ones that are for the organisation, have trackers on. So he goes to a warehouse, gets out his own older style car, and I know that anyone who's a fan of James Bond will probably kill me for this, but I cannot remember what it is. It's an older vehicle from one of the older movies. White, has two guns in the front, I cannot for the life of me remember what it's called, but he gets that, and they drive off while getting the others to leave a trail that's hard to follow, but something that the bad guy is likely to pick up on and follow. They go back to James's birthplace, and the Skyfall Manors, the place where he was brought up. Skyfall, there's the big meaning of the movie. And it reveals a lot about James's past along the lines of... It doesn't reveal exactly what happened, but reveals that his parents were killed when he was younger, making him an orphan, and as M says within the movie, orphans are always the best new recruits. When he gets to his home, the groundskeeper person, the person who looked after the grounds. It's like on the tip of my tongue, I can't remember what it's called. Memory, fantastic. He still then remembers James, meaning that he still does have someone in the world, in family, not exactly related, but the next amount of scenes is them preparing for the people to arrive. What's next? Then, while they're all preparing, as night begins to fall, the people start to arrive. As you hear the dogs barking, then the cars drive up to the gate entrance point, and the people start coming. Again, him and his men, well, not him at that point, but his many henchmen from nowhere. After, I believe, every single henchman dies from the traps that they've laid, and gunshotty dead bang. The main bad guy descends upon the area in his helicopter. Where the hell's he got a helicopter? Where the hell's he got the henchmen? It doesn't matter. Starts shooting up the building. They escape in the old hideaway thing, which was where James hid when his parents were killed. More henchmen descend from Christ knows where. He must have a good PR company or something, but they start shooting the building. The bad guy starts throwing flaming grenades. They weren't exactly grenades because they weren't explosive, they were more incendiary, so incendiary grenades, yeah. To start burning the building. Then he orders them to shoot the car, which makes James angry because he's like, I like that car, bastard. And he sets up a trap in that he gets 2 gas canisters and gets a wires them together, well, whatever it was, a wire of some sort, lights it, runs down into the escape hatchy thing, runs, they explode, the building explodes, which is fucking apparently filled with nitroglycerin nuclear grenades or something, because it fucking explodes massively, more than it should, from an old house that's hardly been touched in Christ knows how long. Explosion caused by 2 gas canisters. Whatever. Suspension of disbelief. The bad guy, after the explosion, notices way off in the distance, because it's darker now, the lamp, like the torch light of the other 2 that were escaping, and goes after them, while ordering his men to make sure that James is dead, looking for a body. Fire explosion through the underground. He runs across a frozen lake. Bad guy confronts him. Random minion appears, grabs him. He uses the gun to shoot the ice, they fall through so the person can't shoot him. He walks off like an idiot. This video doesn't sound like a positive review, but whatever. James strangles the person underwater, then uses after realising the ice is like ice, He goes back down quickly, grabs a flare and uses that to break the ice and escape, which at this point it pans over to the bad guy approaching a church, which is where the others are held up. And as he enters the building, he sees M on the ground kneeling, who she's been hurt. I'm really glazing over that because that's meant to be a big thing, but whatever. The groundskeeper person comes out, the bad guy shoots, just like missing him to basically go, shut up. He grabs M, and I missed out a thing earlier, but doesn't matter, details. And grabs her by the head, puts the gun in her hand and tells her, like putting her head next to his, telling her to pull the trigger and kill both of them because it's the only way. And the next bit is James throwing a knife into his back, killing him essentially, and there was a reference to earlier, it was like, what do we have? We have gun and dynamite, and sometimes it's best done the old way, and he plonks a knife down. That was the joke to that. Well, I say joke. Foreshadowing. And the next scene is M dying in James's arms. I'll mention that in a second. Literally just dying, which I did not know was going to happen, as, again, like I said earlier, I hadn't really, time's getting on, I hadn't really done much, or any, prior looking up, or anything about the movie. I wanted to be surprised by it. And this really took me by surprise. A little note that I forgot to mention, as the bad guy was walking up to the church, you see a tombstone, which is Andrew Bond, James's father. So you find, I believe it mentioned the mother's name as well, but idiot of me, I didn't say it quick enough to note, plus Andrew, so remember Andrew. Anyways, name's Bond, Andrew Bond. Not that accent, no. Anywho, bad accents aside, this is pretty much the finale of the movie with M dying. It reveals other things as a joke from a couple of bits in. In M's will, she left him something funny to remember him by. I'm not going to spoil that because, yeah, go fucking see the movie, it's not that much. You'll enjoy it, but then at the end it reveals that the person who was in charge earlier is now the new M, which clears up the whole thing before of a lot of people were like, but M's always been a man. Which this explains how M, I don't know if I've never read the books because I'm useless with reading. I don't know if it was the same way in the books, which I'm pretty sure it wasn't. But this fixes everything up nicely with the rest of the series. And at the end, when the woman from Start, who appears throughout, decides she's going to go for a more desk job, James says to her, we were never formally introduced, even though they've on several occasions worked together throughout the movie and been on good terms and such. And she introduces herself as, name forgotten, Moneypenny. The links all in. And that's pretty much it. The funny thing for me was the very end, it was, James will return, 50 years of Bond. It looked like it was saying James will return in 50 years. But overall, it was a very good movie to me, and in and of itself, I would say it was a good wrap-up point for the... what the hell do you call it? Trilogy, that's it. Of the Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, then Skyfall. The three of them make up their own, like, I suppose, arcing storyline, or the life of M within Bond. The way that the characters... what the hell's it called? The way that they interacted with each other, such as now, as I've said, Moneypenny and Bond, they had a not exactly romantic as Bond generally is. It's there's a woman, I'm going to fuck that, which is essentially what he must think when he looks at a woman. It's more a playful, having fun with her and a joke. There's several jokes to do with the fact that she nearly killed him, and you can see a more caring relationship between them, a more fun relationship, not just man, woman, sex, etc. Although I'm fairly sure, whatever. The relationship between Judi Dench, and James, Daniel Craig, from Idiot, I never remember, right, if it's Craig Charles is that person, Daniel Craig's this one. I always get the two mixed up and it always makes me seem stupid. But the relationship between them, as always, was them at ends at each other, but you could see a very, they respected each other. And running short, good, I'm at the end. And the relationship between the villain and Bond and M, it was interesting, because it's always interesting when it's one of the people who has gone bad, but still has their own sanity of they think that what they're doing is right and what's going on is wrong. And what else do we have to say? I liked the main theme by Adele, whichever nickname we decided to give her at the time. The main theme from that was nice. I liked the opening, you know how there's always the opening cinematic about, which is just the nice visuals over the main song of the movie. I liked that with the overall theme of the fact that Bond had died. I wonder which one I've said more, Bond or James. Never mind. But yeah, I'd say it was, I don't know where they're going to take the movies now, because a good but possibly not well received way to go with it would be if they decided to start remaking older ones with him as the main one, but I don't think that would go down very well with people. I suppose there's still quite a few of them that haven't been made into movies that could probably move into them next. That's about it. I'm not going to give it a number out of 10 because that's irrelevant, because that's not down to fact, as that's down to opinion really. I'd rate the movie quite highly, so my number would be higher, your number may be lower, higher, whatever. But I'd recommend, if you're not a person of going to see the movies, I'd recommend at least a rental when it comes out on DVD. At least see the trilogy, as I said, the Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall. At least see the three of them, even if you're new to the Bond series. It might give you a bit of interest, it might knock you, who knows. But that's all I can think of. So that's it. So shining out here. After gin and tonic. Easy on the gin. Many for tonic. He would never say that, he would say many gins. It's the Vespa, which is 3 measures of Gordon's, 1 of vodka, was it a quarter of Kina Lily, or have I got the measurements wrong, with a thin slice of lemon peel. Bugger. Anywho, Tulip Pips.